We're going to bring in Carl Skembry, who's in Amman, Jordan. He's from the Norwegian Refugee Council. Carl, I don't know whether you have been able to talk to anybody you know inside Madaya or one of the other villages, but if you have, what have they told you about the conditions that have been found there?
Well, the reports we're getting from our partners and aid workers in these areas are really desperate. We're hearing from doctors and the kind of patients that they are seeing, the level of malnutrition, unbearable starvation that you've just shown right now. And let's also not forget, Madaya is quite a typical not the typical case of besieged area because it's on the mountaintops, it's snowing, it's very cold right now there. So that also explains why it's become so acute at such a relatively short period of time.
How much longer do you think these supplies will be good for?
Well, according to the United Nations, these should last for a month. Our point as aid agencies is that this can't be a one-off. While we welcome it, obviously, with relief, it is not enough. The sieges need to be lifted in Madaya and in all the other areas, at least 15 other besieged areas. 400,000, more than 400,000 are in such besieged areas, but up to 4.5 million are actually in besieged areas and hard to reach areas because of the fighting. And what we're asking for is for the armed groups, armed parties to this conflict to respect the rules of war, the humanitarian imperative. These people are civilians. They need to be reached. They need humanitarian aid.
Yeah.
Sieges need to be lifted. Can't be a one-off. It won't be enough.
It is cold. It is dangerous. And while it's all very well that some food and some medical supplies have got in, a lot of these people need to be taken out, particularly the very sick. How far are you getting in asking for that?
Well, I mean, these are all agreements that need to be negotiated every time, and that's another part of the problem. The most vulnerable need freedom of movement. They need free access to healthcare. We know that besides food, which is the most visible problem, as we've seen on the media in the last few days, the medical supplies have completely run out. Doctors are just doing what they can just to keep people alive. But even there, over the last month, 50 cases documented of people dying either of starvation or because of totally unavailable medical services.
We've concentrated, because we've got pictures of some of the people in there, of places such as Madaya, Fua, and other small enclaves. Is there anywhere in Syria that you would particularly like now to draw attention to?
Well, I wouldn't pit one place against another. Madaya is right now in the limelight as it should be because of all the hardships that are going on there. But it's the whole of Syria, really, where all sorts of groups are actually in violations of the human rights conventions, of the rights of the displaced, and that's why we are asking bigger picture. It is ultimately one long-lasting political negotiation, a political solution to this conflict that can bring an end to this conflict. There's no other way. Not us as humanitarians, we can't solve this. We can only help people stay alive and give them some kind of hope. And not even the military interventions that are going on will bring an end to this conflict. It is only the diplomatic political route. It's been recognized by everyone, even by the parties to the conflict, even by the countries that are right now engaged in it. And so we just need to live up to what we've been saying all along.
Carl, your thoughts on... I'm sitting here in London where the Royal Air Force has been... it's been suggested that it should airlift and airdrop food supplies and medical supplies to enclaves in Syria. And the same suggestion has been put out for other international air forces. Do you think that is workable?
Well, again, this right now in the immediate, whatever it takes to save lives, but longer term, it will only be a diplomatic political solution that can bring a long-lasting, durable solution to this crisis. We've seen all sorts of talks, all sorts of interventions, but it is ultimately only a diplomatic solution that can bring stability, peace, for people even to return to their homes. Because whenever I meet with refugees very regularly from all Jordan, Lebanon, wherever they are, their biggest hope, their biggest wish is to return back home. Those who are fleeing to Europe are, they have the means, and they've realized they're right now stuck in a rut. They have no way of surviving, even in the Middle East, where these countries have been hosting them. But the overall overwhelming wish of these people is to be able to return, and the only way for that to happen is for there to be a negotiated diplomatic political solution.
Well, we thank you. That's Carl Skembry from the Norwegian Refugee Council.